this is Kermit the Frog.
Fascinating.
I'm Captain Kirk.
Magic is always there, as long as we keep looking for it.
Engage.
What does God need with a starship?
Thank you, love you. Mwah.
I protest. I am not a merry man.
Places, please. And here we go.
Down at Fraggle Rock.
Welcome, Doozers, Gorgs, Trash Heaps, and Lols to episode 167 of the MuppeTrek Podcast. I'm Steve.
And I'm Jarman, and we're on a journey across the stars to compare and contrast the creative worlds of Jim Henson and Gene Roddenberry.
What started as reviews of The Muppet Show and Star Trek the Original Series has expanded into outer space.
And this week we have Fraggle Rock episode A Cave of One's Own and Star Trek The Next Generation episode The Offspring. But before we do that, Steve, we have feedback from longtime listener Bill Lamond. Sent us an email.
Bill Lamond from across the pond.
That's right. Actually, I don't know if he's from across the pond. He might have told us where he's from, but I don't remember him saying that necessarily.
Man, have I just been making him British in my head this whole time?
It is a British sounding name, which is cool, but I don't know if it is. So we don't assume where you're from, Bill. But if you
I think we can assume there's probably a pond somewhere between him and us, right?
That is very true. He's across a
just
pond.
Just logistically.
Not
right.
the pond.
So I think we're safe.
But anyways, he says, "Hi, Jarman and Steve. Tonight I was listening on my way to a weekly Monday night tabletop role-playing game. Yes, we love it. So I didn't have to overcome my extreme inattentive type ADD, no H, to remember to talk about MuppeTrek Podcast with my friends. Being especially sure to mention the transporter malfunction part of each episode. And now it's game time. I'll listen to you more on our way home. Thanks for always being good company." And that's what a nice email. So pleasant and wonderful.
Bill and Jarman and I are both big tabletop RPG junkies.
Oh, yes.
So we feel you, man.
Yeah. If you listen to our Play on Nerd show, you'll hear a lot of us talking about D&D all the time.
Oh, yeah. As I always say, Dungeons and Dragons is just math disguised as friendship.
Very light disguise. But yeah, we're glad you like the transporter malfunction because we don't know how that's being received by people. We like it, but it's strange and it doesn't make any sense, but we like doing it anyway.
This is just a great analogy for Jarman and I in general.
Yeah, that's
We're
right.
strange. We're not sure who's listening, but we do it anyway.
Exactly. But beyond that, Steve, I think I want to rock.
Well, there are all kinds of gems, jewels, and geodes in the world, many of which can be found in Fraggle Rock, and this week's is garnet. Well, garnet can come in almost any color. Green, orange, yellows, pink, purple, and everything in between. Garnets are the gemstone, the birthstone of January, and so because of that, Januaries just get to pick any color they friggin' want, I guess. In lore and mythology, garnets were carried by travelers to ward off injury and bring safe travels to their destination. And in the right conditions, garnets can be as big as basketballs.
Wow.
Yeah, huge samples. They're popular in jewelry because they are extremely tough, but because of that, they're also used in things like sandpaper and polishing mediums and water jet cutting systems. So garnet, a very versatile gem, and that rocks.
Before I say to play the sound, I tried to search garnet basketball size, and all you get is pictures of Kevin Garnett, who plays basketball for the Celtics.
Well, I find that that's acceptable.
That's acceptable.
I want to rock! Well, what's going down in Fraggle Rock? Well, what's up, Doc? Schimmelfinney won't sign the petition to preserve the captain's house because someone's going to come in and turn it into a hotel, and Doc wants his serenity. He doesn't want strangers on his street. The construction workers show up, and Doc is outraged. He makes picket signs, not just for him, but for Sprocket. But then Doc has a change of heart because the new owner is a very attractive lady.
Ooh.
And so he thinks that maybe it can be okay if there's new people there. And she's got a lady dog for Sprocket, too.
Weird.
What's going down in Fraggle Rock? Well, Mokey tries to meditate, but loud distractions all about Fraggle Rock distract her. Mokey and Red decide that they need to move out and find a cave of their own. They sing the song Somewhere There's a Special Place about how they're going to find this perfect cave that has everything that they are looking for. But then it's when it becomes clear they both have a very different idea of what perfect means. They finally find a place and tensions immediately rise as Red crowds the place out with their stuff, and Mokey tries to get Red to try meditating, but they're dedicated to making it work and mostly just proving Gobo wrong. That seems to be the driving factor for all of this. Mokey then introduces her pet, Lanford, a vicious plant that torments Red, stopping her from sleeping. Mokey then wakes Red up with a gong, and then Red lifts weights, and they're all over the place. But they have a cave warming party to plan. They go looking for decorations, but run into the Merc monster. I think that's what they saw. There was a weird monster at one point. A giant hand grabs Red and tosses her across the cave. I thought it was great and such a one-off. They go back prepping for the party when tensions finally flare because Mokey hid some of Red's stuff, and Mokey is embarrassed by Red's mess. We get Share and You're Not Alone about the joys of friends visiting and sharing as the party kicks off. Gobo, sensing the tension, cuts it with Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard, where he's in a domestic cave of the silly creatures filled with strange objects. He hides in a warm, quiet place, but then other strange creatures are thrown on top of him. Red and Mokey are at each other's throats. Mokey launches Red across the cave in a hammock into the Fraggle Pond, and their friendship is over. But Lanford is sick. Red and Mokey come together to help him and apologize to one another. They shouldn't have tried so hard to agree. But then Red launches Mokey with the hammock across to the Fraggle Pond, and that means war. They realize that the thing that they like about each other is that they are like themselves, and they don't want each other to be different than who they are. That was a weird set of words I just strung together there. They then take turns launching themselves from the hammock into the Fraggle Pond because it turns out it was real fun, and all is well. There is no Doozers, no Gorgs, and no Marjorie this week.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not even backgrounds.
No.
So, Jordan, what did you think of this week's episode of Fraggle Rock?
I did see some Doozer constructions fall into the water once, but no Doozers themselves. So no Doozers were harmed during the filming of this episode. I thought, for the most part, a good, well-rounded episode as far as like, I was enjoying the story, the small stakes here, you know, what was going on with their relationship, their being roommates. And I was like, there's a good message at the end, kind of. They didn't explain it very well, but I kind of got where they're going with it. Whereas like, you know, be yourself and you don't have to change yourself for everybody else. We love each other for our differences, not our being everyone the same. You know, that's a good thing because we watched a couple episodes ago, they didn't have any message, and it was actually kind of jarring when the episode didn't have any message to it. It was weird.
Yeah. Like nothing really happened.
Yeah. It's like, and there's other shows that do that, but this show always has like a message, you know, it's like, so it was strange. So this is good. There was only like one song that you mentioned, and it was kind of forgettable.
Yeah, two.
There was two?
Them when they're looking for the cave, and then them the housewarming song when Gobo and Wembley come. I
just forgot all the songs. Like they just weren't very memorable.
They're both short.
Okay.
They're both very short this week. Yeah, the music was disappointing this week. I will get 100% on board with that. It was not their strongest showing. We actually have some lore that I was kind of subtly dropped in this episode. We know that Doc lives on a very isolated street with just him and Mr. Schimmelfinny. So we know that Fraggle Rock is at least in an isolated location that's not near the rest of like a big civilization or a city, at least, because he's like, oh, we're on this street, and I think he says just me and Mr. Schimmelfinny on this street that we live on, and they're gonna turn a hotel here and bring people here. So I don't know, I thought that was interesting. At least we're putting together where kind of geolocating the Fraggle Rock might be located. The opening to Fraggle Rock might be interesting. Once again, I think my theory that Fraggle Rock was like a meteorite carrying some sort of alien race that crashed and created so much energy in the crash that it not only there, but ripped a hole in space-time and now acts as the connector for these two different worlds, the Gorgland.
Or it's just time.
Humanity.
So this is like actually what Earth was like millions of years ago. It's like a portal through time.
Oh, or the Gorgs are in the future.
Oh, yes. Maybe.
Like that's like the world's been wiped out. It's ruled by giants now.
Post-apocalyptic.
We did get that piece of Gorg lore that there was maybe a human that gave them the kingdom. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the knights or whatever.
He was a Gorg, but he was thin and short and covered in a brown robe.
I took that to mean he was a Fraggle, maybe, but
maybe.
I don't know.
But yeah, so I like that. Get a little bit of lore in the world.
Yeah, so it's a little nibble, but it's gonna be something. We also, so that giant hand, you said we've seen that before, or they've mentioned that before?
No, I just thought it was so funny they threw it in, and then it wasn't a thing for the rest of the episode. Like I was so confused why they would introduce such a giant thing, and then we never encounter it.
We see random creatures throughout Fraggle Rock that pop up occasionally, but this is like a scary ass giant creature that lives in these caves. Like what other creatures are in these caves?
The Merc Monster, I think is what they called it.
Oh gosh. Anyways, that was scary and fascinating.
Yeah, that was scary, and I was just so surprised it didn't play a bigger role.
Maybe it'll come back. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I love that Gobo was wearing this cool little hat this episode. I wish he'd wear it every episode for no reason. It wasn't explained. He's just wearing
from this point on
random hat.
He got a hair transplant. It happens.
And I want Doc to get laid by this random neighbor that he has now. That's
right. She's opening up a hotel or whatever.
I mean, the beds are right breakfast.
There. Yeah, bed and breakfast is part of the name.
She's gonna bed him and breakfast him right there.
That's right.
What do you think?
So this one, I do not think it was a very strong episode. I agree, it was nice to have a central message, but it felt like the story with Red and Mokey didn't progress in any way. They were at odds and being nice, and they were at odds and being nice, and they were at odds and being nice, and then they stopped being nice, and then they came back and are at odds but are still nice. I was like, no one went anywhere. No one grew in any real way. It was clunky. I hate that these episodes with no diversity in scenery. Like we didn't get a trip to the Gorg's Garden. We didn't get a trip to Marjorie. We didn't get any Doozer stuff to break it up. It was like 2 caves worth of stuff, and those episodes are just kind of boring.
Whereas in season 1, where they arguably had less money, they were doing that every episode had like lots of diverse settings. Like,
oh yeah,
and now it's not happening at all.
And then I think we already talked about it. The music was just a little lackluster in this episode.
Yeah,
I do not dislike this episode. It is not a negative thing, but I don't think we'll ever talk about this one again because it's going to land dead in the center.
I totally agree, wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Well, what were those silly creatures up to this week? Well, the domestic cave was a child's room, and the warm, quiet place was a toy box that Uncle Traveling Matt hopped into. The strange creatures thrown on top of him were stuffed animals. Well, stuffed animals have been around for a long time. Some form of stuffed toys has existed for centuries, but modern stuffed animals, as we think of them now, came about in the late 1800s. And really what it came down to was mass industrialization allowed for more consistent cloth weaving for toys. And then toys were in turn able to also be mass produced in a way that they hadn't before. So the stuffed animal went crazy because suddenly you could make millions of them. The most famous stuffed animal, the teddy bear, was inspired by Theodore Roosevelt. Apparently something to do with a 1902 hunting trip involving bears, I guess. But early stuffed animals weren't all they cracked up to be. They weren't always stuffed with great things. Early stuffed animals had straw, cotton bits, wool, fabric scraps, sometimes like dangerous asbestos-y kind of stuff was used.
Of course.
Of course. So stuffed animals were out to kill you. But that is what the silly creatures were up to, and that's what Uncle Traveling Matt encountered. Mm-hmm. So, Jarman, what did you think was the best Muppeteering moment this week?
I liked the giant hand and the things before the giant hand. They did a lot of coordinating with flying puppets and stuff, and then also with Mokey dodging last minute or turning around at the right second. It was a lot of coordination with a lot of moving parts, and I thought that was really cool. Because they did the whole thing where Mokey doesn't see Red getting attacked over and over again, and then just having this giant hand grab Red and throw her. I mean, that was pretty awesome too.
Yeah, and it didn't. Once again, I love that, but I was blown away. It didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
like they would do that, and then just
that could be the whole episode right there.
Yeah, dude.
But also honorable mention to just Red lifting weights with her hands and her tail. She goes hands.
Oh, the tail weightlifting? That was great.
Yeah. What about you?
That was awesome. I dug, even though it was simple, I really liked Lanford because it was such a weird addition. The eating plant that then just abused Red for its amusement, seemingly. But then that being the thing that brought them together at the end. But I thought Lanford communicated a lot for what was really just like a hand puppet in a pot.
It looked like a mini Venus flytrap kind of thing. It was weird.
Yeah. Well, it kind of looked like beginning of Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Little Shop of Horrors.
Feed me, Seymour.
Feed me, Seymour. Yeah, it was good.
Oh, man. So, gentlemen, what happened on this week's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation?
We have the Offspring. So ever since Data returns from this cybernetics conference he went to, he's been hiding away in his quarters and apparently quietly building a new android in his lab. So he invites Geordi, Troy, and Wesley to take a look, and he reveals that he considers this new android his child. Picard finds out, and he's upset with them at first because less of the ethical part of it, because he's okay with that, but because Data didn't run it by anybody first, which Data points out. He's like, I'm confused. Did the other crew members let you know before they have an offspring? And he's like, oh, no, I guess not. But the android at first,
I love that.
Yeah, that was a great line. At first, it's just a blank slate generic humanoid. It has no gender. So Data lets it choose its own gender and appearance, and eventually it settles on a human female. And Data names her Lal, which means apparently beloved in Hindi. And on Beverly's advice, because she's not like fitting in well, doesn't know her purpose, he has her go to school with the other kids because she's only 2 weeks old. But it does not go well. The older kids make fun of her. The younger kids are afraid of her. So Guinan steps in and helps out and puts her to work in 10 Forward as a server to help her learn social skills, where she can observe the enormous variety of human behavior up close that goes on in 10 Forward. But it turns out a little too up close because she sees this couple kissing, and she learns about kissing from Guinan. And just that second, Riker walks in and goes and doesn't know who she is. And she's like, hello, I haven't seen you here before. And she grabs him, picks him up, and kisses him. But he panics and backs away when he sees Data. And Data's like, what are your intentions with my daughter? And Riker's like, oh, shit, and runs away. Meanwhile, Starfleet gets wind of the situation, and they dispatch Admiral Haftel, who arrives with the explicit intention of taking Lal to a research station where she can be properly studied. But Picard and Data both push back, especially Picard saying, like, this is basically his child, and they're both sentient beings. You have no authority over them. They have to decide for themselves to do this. Data saying, I'm her father, I'm not giving her up. But Admiral Haftel then says he'll have to order him to do it as a Starfleet officer. But Picard steps in again and says, no, I'm not going to let you do that. I'll risk my career on it. And this is a very important thing for even modern times. Don't follow illegal orders. That's basically what it is. Then Lal starts doing something Data himself has never managed to do, which she begins to feel emotions, especially fear. She's fear of being taken away, and her also connections to other people. Her positronic brain is unable to handle the cascade of emotional pathways. It begins to fail faster and faster, and they can't repair it fast enough. But Haftel, the Admiral, steps in and tries to work alongside with Data to desperately try to save her, but they can't. And after seeing how hard Data fights for Lal's life, Haftel is moved, and he has a great monologue at the end, seeing the error of his ways, because these really are sentient beings, and Data really cares for her like a father. And Lal's last words to Data are that she loves him, and that even though he can't feel it, she'll feel it for both of them. And Data, then he basically has his own Data version of love for her. He doesn't want to forget her, so he transfers her memories into himself so she can continue to exist inside of him. And that is the end of this episode. So, Steve, what did you think of The Offspring?
Okay. So, some things I liked. Crazy premise. In that, Data had a kid. Who would have thought we'd say that in a Star Trek episode? I loved multiple instances of Data sass. Captain, I did not see others informing you about their procreation. And then when they're talking about and she's different from me and better. And he's like, is that not the goal for all children? Mm-hmm. I loved Data sass this episode. I did like that we got to see him go through a full parent adulthood spectrum as well as childhood spectrum. Gender identity, and then the questioning phase. Why? And then being bullied at school, and then learning the difference between boys and girls, and having a first kiss with Riker and her first job. Like, it was such a funny, like, extrapolated, very quick timeline that gave a funny sampling of a lot of different things.
And didn't feel too rushed either, I don't think. It was, yeah.
No, I thought it progressed well. And then my question is, didn't we establish that Data is a sentient life and can't be forced against his will to go do things? We literally spent an entire episode on this where they go to court.
Yeah,
right?
and Picard even says in this episode, he's like, I'm the one who established these rules, like, because of my actions.
Yeah, so why would that guy think that just didn't apply here?
That's crazy. They could have fought it.
Yeah, it felt weird to retread this without enough new situation making it feel like it was different. So it was one of those things where I was like, no, there's been a court ruling on this. She doesn't have to go anywhere. I loved when Lau was distressed, her running to Troy, and then Troy actually sensing emotions, which I thought was really a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
And then I did like the turn of the bad guy. I'll put that in quotation marks. The commander at the end trying to help, like, realizing that saving her was more important than his shit. And then the death of Lal, I'll put that in quotation marks, of Lal, just felt underwhelming. It felt like it moved too quick. There wasn't enough real explanation per se. It just felt like because that didn't have the emotional gravity it really could have had.
I think it could have ended better where he walks in the bridge. I thought this happened in my memory. Maybe I just wished it happened this way, where he walks in on the bridge and everyone's really concerned for him and worried about him and really showing their sadness that Lal is gone. And just the stark contrast that he can't show or feel emotion, him just trying to go right back to work. And they keep like trying to say to him, hey, you should take some time off. And he's just like, no, I don't understand. She's with me now. Like, they could have just played it a little bit better and it would have hit harder that he really just can't feel that, but he's doing it in his own way. Because they tried to do that, but yeah, I don't think it didn't hit right.
Yeah, I will totally agree with that. Yeah, I felt like it was right on the verge of being like a deeply impactful episode, but the premise wasn't different enough from what we've seen before, and then the Lal stuff at the end was rushed.
Yeah. But
it was right on that edge. It had a lot of really good pieces to it.
And I think one of the best parts of this were the two ending scenes. The guest actor playing the Admiral, I think that quick turn of him being redeemed wouldn't have worked so well if he wasn't such a good actor. Like, I think he acted the hell out of that monologue where he was almost in tears, seeing how fast Data was working to try to save her life. That was just like moving. I was like, wow, that was really well done. And then, of course, the scene between Lal and Data at the end where she's saying, I'll have enough love for the both of us. I was like, oh my God. And like a recent new dad, I'm like, oh God. So it hit at the right time. But yeah, I think this is like a nice comfort episode for me where it's just there's a great performances and bits for each person in the ensemble except for Worf, strangely. But like everybody has a good moment.
Oh yeah, I could totally get on board with that.
A lot of funny lines, like you mentioned, a lot of them. I just love any Data-centric episode is always fun for me. He's like one of the best parts of the show, I think. The Riker getting kissed by Lal is fantastic. This is where we what are
your intentions with my daughter? That was so good.
I gotta go.
Your daughter?
And then we have the Picard meme from this of him doing the double face palm with puts both hands in his. Yeah. So there's a lot of good things this episode. Not like the top of the whole season, but higher up for me for sure because it's just so many good points in it. But you're right. It doesn't quite hit the stratosphere or anything.
Just didn't go over that edge. Yeah. It's so close, but not quite.
Yeah. So 2 decent episodes this week. Trek facts for this.
Some Trek facts? Yeah.
We got first Star Trek TV episode to be directed by an actor from the show, which happens much later on. But this is the first time because Jonathan Frakes, William Riker, he directed this episode. That's why he was in so little
2
of
takes
it.
Frakes.
That's right. In the past, Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner, of course, directed something from Star Trek, but they were movies, not TV episodes. So this is the first TV episode to be right. And that's why William Riker was only minimally in the episode, because he was directing.
Oh, and that one, I didn't even think about that, but
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense.
First of only 2 episodes of the TNG series to feature an Andorian. We see the Andorians in the original series, and then we see them later on in other series, but there's only 2 episodes.
Oh, that's right. In the holodeck. I hadn't thought about that.
So it's only a hologram and it's potential skin template for Android Lal to pick out. But this incorrectly, they gave it green hair and skin. And I heard somewhere there being a reason why they did green in this episode, but it was like a mistake, or they're trying to see if it would work better with green. But they never do that again, because the original series, they were blue. And then from this point on, they're blue. There's never a green Andorian ever again. So that was just a weird.
I wonder if it has to do with blue screen use for the effect.
Maybe. That's possible.
Them fading in and out. That being said, you'd think it'd all be in camera, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that was weird. Whoopi Goldberg, good for her, successfully fought to change a line of dialogue in the scene when Guinan was teaching Lal the facts of life from when a man loves a woman, she changes the line to when 2 people are in love, thereby further reinforcing the belief that in the 21st century, a person's sexual orientation is unimportant. So it could be any 2 people, not just when a man loves a woman. So good for her for changing that line. It future-proof that scene a little bit better. This episode is the origin of the 2-handed facepalm meme, which I mentioned before. We keep mentioning this because it pops up a lot in this season in particular. All these memes that have gone on forever. There are a lot of them from this season. Season 3, I think we're in now. Yeah, season 3. But anyways, but a fun episode nonetheless.
That sounds right.
So, Steve, what are our Trek connections this week? You have lots, right?
Oh, man, this was a really tough week because there were only 2 guest stars and they had middling careers, so it was tough. Lal was played by actress Haley Todd, and she was in, and this is just amazing this existed. This is my big takeaway. She was in a movie called National Lampoon Holiday Reunion.
Oh, boy.
And starring in this, not Chevy Chase, starring Judge Reinhold and Bryan Cranston.
Whoa.
Look this movie up. It looks nuts. Well, as we all know, Bryan Cranston played King Hrothgar in the movie Grendel that recently came out in 2025, the tale of Beowulf as told from the beast Grendel's side. And all of the animatronics and puppetry for the character of Grendel were put together by the Jim Henson Studio.
Oh. I'm seeing the movie now. It's not even the same family. It's just
it's different last names. It's not the Griswolds, but clearly Judge Reinhold is Chevy Chase, and clearly Bryan Cranston is Randy Quaid's character equivalent. He's got a big mullet and stuff. But yeah, the fact that this movie exists is just incredible.
You got Penelope Ann Miller is in this, and she did a lot of stuff. Carlito's Way, The Artist, Kindergarten Cop, but that's about it. Anyways, we love ourselves some weird, obscure movies.
Yeah, so that's the connection. Just the fact that discovering that existed was my win this week. But it makes sense that there's no connections because these are so similar.
That makes sense.
Opposite logic.
Both have characters trying to adjust to living in a new space. Red and Mokey in their new cave apartment, and Lal in the world.
That is my exact first one.
Oh,
people learning to live together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Well, both feature surprises causing others to be outraged. Red and Mokey being outraged after being launched from the hammock, and Picard when he found out Data made a person.
That's a pretty big surprise.
Outraged.
Both have a character warning their friends about something, but hope that they aren't right. But actually, they end up being right in the end. Gobo warns Mokey and Red that they will fight if they live together, and they do.
Mm-hmm.
Picard warns Data that Starfleet won't approve of his Lal creation, and he's right. They want to steal her. So, yeah, they both end up being right when they really don't want to be right, but they are. But that brings us to... What? Wait, what? Ah!
Oh, no, it's broken.
Transporter malfunction.
It's malfunctioning. Now's the time of the episode where we take one character from one episode and switch them with the other and vice versa. What you got for us, Steve?
This one's for you, Bill Lamond from across a pond. Trek to Rock, I'm going to bring over Lal and replace Mokey. I just think it'd be funny watching Lal in her questioning state, playing the straight man to Red's over-the-top clutter and outrageous behavior. And I think it'd just be sort of the perfect odd couple kind of situation.
So funny because I did the exact opposite. Trek to Rock, I have Lal come over to replace Red so that Mokey could actually have a compliant, decent roommate to teach her hippie ways to. The opposite of the odd couple.
I love that. And then Rock to Trek, I'm going to bring over Doc and replace Admiral Halftail, wanting to take Lal back to his lighthouse workshop, and then tries to use his tinkering skills to save her in the end. Because we know that Doc loves to tinker.
He'd just make it even worse.
That's right.
Rock to Trek, I'm bringing Red over to replace Lal. She could really show Data a good time, being goofy as hell, like Data let loose a little bit before she dies a terrible death.
We get to watch Red working in a bar.
Yeah. Chaos ensues.
Pure chaos.
But that brings us to the end of episode 167 of MuppeTrek Podcast.
Join us next time for Fraggle Rock episode Wembley and the Great Race.
Ooh, and Star Trek The Next Generation episode Sins of the Father.
So, from the lovers, the dreamers, and us,
live long and prosper, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the MuppeTrek Podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media on Facebook and Twitter.
Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
This podcast has been brought to you by A Play on Nerds.